Let's start with this. The most devastating blow to Russia might not be on the battlefield, but behind enemy lines. Stay with us until the end, because what Ukraine is doing in the shadows could change everything. Russia is being forced to divert an increasing amount of its resources to repairing damaged infrastructure, replacing expensive equipment, and relocating critical radar and air defense systems just to shield its vital refineries from further attacks. And make no mistake, every successful Ukrainian strike adds up. The cumulative impact has been anything but minor. In fact, just last year, Ukraine's campaign against Russian energy facilities was estimated to have slashed refinery capacity by as much as 15%. Things got so bad that Russia was compelled to introduce a temporary ban on gasoline exports, not for strategic advantage, but simply to make sure there was enough fuel for its own population. With Ukraine's strikes continuing relentlessly, that ban has now been extended. Russia has publicly admitted it likely won't be able to export gasoline again until the end of summer at the earliest. Should Ukraine maintain this pressure, the ban could stretch even further, costing the Kremlin billions in lost revenue and forcing its traditional partners to look elsewhere for energy. This isn't just a logistical concern. For Putin, it's personal. His power and geopolitical leverage have always rested on Russia's vast oil and gas reserves. Without them, his bargaining power on the world stage collapses. That's precisely why, earlier this year in March, Russia did something unthinkable. It offered to pause strikes on Ukraine's energy sector for 30 days, but only if Ukraine did the same. It was a desperate olive branch from a regime that has rarely shown interest in genuine negotiation. For the first time in years, Moscow pleaded for a ceasefire, not over territory but over oil refineries and power plants. Yet even that fragile deal quickly fell apart when Russia broke the truce by attacking Ukraine's power grid on March 19th. The very next day, Ukraine responded by hitting an oil depot in Engels. From there, it didn't stop. Fuel storage sites, refineries, tanks, all were struck in a series of calculated retaliations. But experts agree that even if the ceasefire had held, 30 days wouldn't have been nearly enough for Russia to undo the damage. The destruction already inflicted on its energy infrastructure is simply too great. The only realistic path to full recovery would require the war itself to end. And even then, the rebuilding process would be long, expensive, and painful. Labor shortages, supply issues, and broader economic instability would continue to haunt the Russian economy. Adding to that, Russia's attempts to replicate Ukraine's strategy by targeting Ukrainian energy facilities have proven far less effective. Chemical engineer Will Teal put it bluntly. In his view, Ukraine's strikes on Russian energy sites are far more impactful than Russia's attempts to do the same. That's because for Russia, oil isn't just an industry, it's lifeblood. Oil profits drive the economy, fund the war, and support international influence. Losing that is not just a setback, it's a strategic catastrophe. And that's why Ukraine's precision strikes on refineries, depots, and export hubs have been so devastating. The pressure isn't just military, it's financial, it's political, and it's deeply psychological. If Ukraine can sustain this momentum, the cumulative damage could be enough to force Putin back to the negotiating table, not out of goodwill, but out of necessity. This might just be Ukraine's best chance to either end the war or cripple Russia where it's most vulnerable. Researchers at Radio Free Europe concluded that Ukraine's strikes on Russian energy infrastructure are only going to become more frequent and more effective, especially as Kyiv enhances its long-range drone capabilities. New, high-value targets deep within Russian territory are increasingly within reach. The recent drone strike on Sochi is a clear sign of this evolution, and even Russia's advanced radar and air defense systems seem unable to prevent these hits. Ukraine is now showing the world that it can strike where it wants, when it wants, dealing blow after blow to the Kremlin's deteriorating war machine. And here's the kicker. When Ukraine isn't bombing oil depots, it's also erasing Russia's radar installations, paving the way for drone swarms to penetrate deeper than ever. If you're curious how Ukraine has cleared the skies for these drone offensives, be sure to watch our recent video that breaks it all down. You'll also want to check out our deep dive into Ukraine's potential campaign to retake Crimea against all odds. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to our trusted news channel to stay updated on the latest from the war in Ukraine and other global flashpoints.